Senate side, but the equivalent one in the House, I think.
I'm going to call the meeting to order.
Yeah.
And I'd like to note that all members of the Planning Commission are here tonight. So glad to see you guys. I'm missing the Tommies down there. Yeah. And we need to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. What I'd like to do is to suggest that there might be a motion to change the agenda so that we have the SE number 260101 Stern Tourist Home matter first, since I think most of the people want to speak about the substation.
So moved.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Janelle, okay. Then we'll be ready to go. How about, so we're going to be moving the SC number 260101 Stern, the tourist home, to the first public hearing.
And otherwise approving the agenda.
Yeah, thank you. And then, okay, great. Do we need another motion? Motion, second, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And have you had time to review the minutes?
They were pretty simple.
Yeah, pretty straightforward. Do you have a
I'm
motion?
going to jump out there and move that we approve them as distributed.
Is there a second? Thank you. Mr. Sisk? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then we're going to open the public hearing. First, I guess we should have the staff introduce the issue. I'm sorry.
That's all right. The Stearns have applied for a special exception, which is numbered SC 260101 for their parcel located, tax map parcel 336, which is at 369 Hinson's Ford Road in the Jackson districts in the Amosville area. The parcel is 12 acres in size and it's zoned agriculture. They've requested to operate a tourist home pursuant to Rappahannock County Code Section 17036E with the special requirements of 17066K. They're seeking a 2-bedroom tourist home allowing 6 persons. This was, I believe, the Stearns' main residence, but due to family changes, they're temporarily relocating and seeking some revenue to help defray their costs in the interim. VDOT did review the application packet and said that they were satisfied with the private entrance. The health department reviewed the on-site septic system and ultimately determined that it was suitable for a 3-bedroom dwelling or 6 persons. They did not have permitting from the well. They did, as typical, suggest testing for the well and having the septic pumped.
Thank you. Do you want to hear from the applicant? Mr. Stern.
I want to thank the commission for reviewing my application and for giving me the opportunity to answer any questions from yourselves or the public. I'll keep it very brief. The motivation for applying for this permit is that 6 days ago, my wife gave birth to our first baby. And it's been a wonderful, thank you, wonderful and exhausting week. We lived in our wonderful Amosville home for 4 years while we were both working in Washington, D.C., and we would just commute. We realized a few months ago that would be utterly impractical with a newborn, but we are so in love with our home out here, we didn't want to sell it, nor did we want to find a long-term tenant because that would preclude us from using the home when we're able, weekends, holidays, etc. So we figured this would be the best path forward, and I believe in his introduction he used the word temporary, because that's really what this is. This is not a commercial, ongoing, in perpetuity money-making venture. This is an opportunity to take perhaps as long as a few years, but no more than probably 2 or 3, to just get our feet under us, figure out what life with a young child is like, and then with any luck, we won't have to rent it, that we'll be able to spend enough time, or our finances will allow us just to have it as our family residence, and it can be a part of our daughter's life as she grows up, which is our real dream here. So we're not making any changes to the structure. We're not applying for any additional permits to modify anything. We've loved our house. We think some guests will. We're going to try to go to great lengths to make sure that our neighbors, one of whom is represented here, are not disturbed in any way by having house rules requiring quiet hours and exterior lighting. And we want to be good stewards of the home and good neighbors. And we just absolutely are Rappahannock, and we'll try to find guests that feel the same way. So with that, any questions that I can answer?
You know, when I went over there, I noticed that you had redone the garage. It looked like it was maybe going to be another bedroom.
So that was the previous owner. It was a studio he was using as his wood shop.
Right. Yeah, I knew that.
If you go open the door, it looks nice on the outside, which
Yeah.
is what I think he was going for. It copies the exterior of the primary home, but inside it's poured concrete floor. We were using it as my wife's she's the art teacher in a DC public school. So she was using it as her little art studio. Maybe one day we'll make it to the art tour, make it on the itinerary. I was using it as a little home office and gym. But yeah, it's not a dwelling residence. We perhaps will let guests store their things in there, but we might also just use that as a place to store our things when we can't be on the property.
Thank you. Any other questions, Mr. Atkins?
Yes. Do you plan to have an on-site manager or something to look after the property while, when it's being rented out, to take care of any problems that would occur, and such as removing the trash and et cetera?
Great question. Yes, I didn't want to get ahead of myself and actually hire anybody, but I found 2 local people that will be willing to function as that on-site property manager, because a short-term rental is somewhere between a hotel and a normal renter. It's a little bit more intensive. It requires things like fresh towels and stuff like that I just can't. It would defeat the purpose if I were to have to commute out to change the sheets and do things like that. So yes, I've found some people. If this permit is hopefully approved, I'll be able to hire the leading candidate. She's a woman who lives in Rappahannock, and I don't have her personal info right with me, but yes, she would be acting as my property manager.
Okay. Also, have you put up a 911 emergency number to where it can be seen?
In the home?
No, out on the property. That's your 911 address.
Oh,
Street address.
Street address.
369.
Yeah, but have you put the sign up?
It's for the 911 system.
Sorry, I was missing it. Yes, it's on one of the front columns in front of the front door. If it's not visible, we can obviously install a more reflective version like that.
Okay.
It just might be easier for your guests, among other things.
Yeah, if we were to modify anything, and I believe I mentioned this in one area in the application, the only thing we would want to install would be a sign that does have the address on it for that very purpose. And I suppose the 911 is a secondary benefit, but we would make sure it's in compliance with the signage regulations that I cited in the application.
You can get the blue signs from the Castleton Fire Department.
Right.
Oh, great. Well, we absolutely would do that.
Okay.
I just had a follow-up on that point about the local manager.
Yes.
Is it your intention that their number be given to guests, or would you be the interface for the guests?
Another great question. They would be the public-facing version. We'd have to advertise this on sites like Airbnb, obviously, and I wouldn't want to be inundated with messages. But in our house rules, and once the guests are actually booked, I would put my cell phone number, so if they had issues, they could call me as well.
I always ask, have you talked to all your neighbors?
I sure have. I noticed in the app, it's one of the points in the application is to make sure that your neighbors are okay with this. So
And generally, what was the feedback?
pretty positive, I would say. we're so lucky on Hinson's Ford. It's a little community, everyone's very nice, and we are going to be seeing these people they're going to remain our neighbors. We might not see them every day, but they're still going to be our neighbors. So we want to try to be respectful. And I went to all of them and told them.
Sometimes it's not always put out.
Yeah, no, I could believe it. And if we had, yeah, I made sure to get everyone's kind of feedback and approval before even beginning this process.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll open it up to public comment, and if you'd state your, state your name and your district. I also want to thank everybody who comes for public comment, because, it's really not the first thing people want to do on their nights. And it's really an act of citizenship, and I really appreciate it.
Well, this is my first time here.
Yeah.
My name is Gary Martin. I live at 355 Henson Ford, so I'm directly behind Ben, and the one that would be most affected by this. My driveway is the driveway right before his. So if anybody makes a wrong turn, it's going to be down my driveway. I've talked to Ben extensively about this and understand his plan and understand his rationale for why he wants to do it. I would much rather see some temporary folks coming in and out than the house be up for sale again and a new neighbor to come into the area. We've been here 10 years now. We love it. Ben's been a great neighbor, and so I just wanted to come to lend my support and that I'm for this action. So hopefully you guys will approve the permit. Thank you.
Karen Hunt, Jackson District. Some of the questions that I have kind of been answered, so that's great. And congratulations, by the way, on your new addition. In reviewing the application, the dwelling is a two-bedroom home, and our building department does issue residential occupancy permits based on the number of bedrooms calculated at 2 per bedroom. While they're requesting 6 guests maximum, they know they have a pull-out sofa to accommodate 2 extra persons. We just got through revising and updating our transient lodging ordinances, and we do calculate occupancy persons by 2 persons per unit or bedroom. I suggest that permitting additional occupancy based on furniture accommodations rather than the established number of unit or bedrooms might set a precedence that could be problematic. And then on page 10 of the application, they mention the house rules. I guess this has kind of been answered. They say that they can assist with anything, but it sounds like they will have the on-site manager. And I was also wondering too about the garage. So it sounds like some of that has been answered. I did talk to the building department, and they didn't have any permits. They checked their current system and then the old system back to about 2000, but they couldn't find anything for like permits or inspections or anything like that. So I'm not sure when the renovations were done or, if there's any issue with that. The last thing would be the Virginia Department of Health was unable to find the records on the existing well, and they recommended to have the well water tested annually to ensure potability, and I would suggest that that be added as a condition to the permit.
That's a good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any discussion, Mr. Atkins?
Are you closing the public hearing?
Oh, I'm going to close the public hearing on the Stern Tourist Home.
So I just had one item on this question of 4 versus 6. I believe I noticed the applicant asked for 6, but the staff report suggested 4.
Yeah, 2. Oh, yeah,
Just
4, that's correct.
elaborate on that.
I discussed that with Michelle today. She thought that was in keeping with what the planning commission had discussed in the past.
Yeah.
Also, however, the board of supervisors with the most recent similar case, I guess, issued a special exception with more than 2 times the bedroom. There is no ordinance requiring you to only have 2 persons per bedroom. There is, in 160, 17066K, there is a section following the intro that conditions that the Planning Commission or Board might choose to apply includes one, two persons per bedroom, but that's a may. And then in other areas of our ordinance, where it's not clear, we define density for a property by two-person occupancy rooms. And so if you have 10 rooms, you're automatically assumed to be 20 people, and if you can have X number of rooms for 25 acres, that's how you do that math. So there's not a hard limit in the ordinance, but it has come up with this body and the board in the past.
I guess my question was more about whether there was a consideration on the part of staff to suggest that it be 4, not 6, anything about this property.
Frankly, I asked Michelle, why did you put 4 in the staff report? She said that she thought that's where the planning commission would head. And I said, well, last time this came up, the board changed it, so we'll just see where it goes.
All right, thank you. That's really what I was trying to understand.
So,
Go ahead.
so you
Go
got
ahead.
another question?
No, go ahead.
So to follow up on that, I think in the package, I didn't copy that particular page. I think there was a assessment card in there, and I believe this structure maybe had 2,500 square feet. So it's got some size to it. I don't know what they were thinking in terms of 6, but it's highly likely that, 2 people might bring a child with them, and that is a human being. So, we could always say 4 adults and no more than 2 minors, to accommodate if a guest would have a child that they wanted to bring out with them and stay with them. So I think that's something that's pretty reasonable.
Mr. Shulen, do you have any thoughts?
I kind of agree with Mr. Henry. I mean, the health department's report says that according to the records, that system would accommodate a 3-bedroom, 6-person household. So I think 4 or 2 children are fine.
Somebody want to make a motion?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Atkins.
Yeah, I have a couple of comments before, then I will make a motion. Looking at this application and everything, it is compatible with environmental quality and the rural character of this area. It does not adversely affect active farm operations, forestry operations, residential neighborhood, the tourist industry, and the county's fiscal stability. And also, I gather that they're going to return here and raise their child, their daughter here. So given that, that's a plus for the county because we need enrollment in our schools.
Yeah.
So that would be a plus for us there, and plus to keep them as residents of the county. So I'm in favor of that. I'll make a motion that we do approve this application with the recommended conditions put by the staff. But and I think that we've agreed now to 4 adults and 2 children. All right. No food service will be offered to renters of this facility. This permit terminates upon the sale or transfer of the property.
And would you also add checking the water every year, having the water inspected every year, or?
We can certainly add that there's a requirement to have the well water tested annually. Is that what we're saying, annually? Okay.
If I offer another friendly question, I'm not sure if it's in the staff report, but I know there was a discussion around having a local resident manager. Would that be a condition that there be a local manager whose contact information is available to guests?
Correct, we could add that.
I don't know, maybe it was in there already, I just wanted to.
No, it's not in there.
Okay, so the motion, as I understand it, is that there'll be a maximum of 2 bedrooms, 4 guests with 2 children, say 16 or under, or any children.
Once you use the word minors.
Minors, thank you.
Okay.
And that there'll be no food service offered to the renters. The permit terminates upon the sale or transfer of the property. That there'll be an annual I guess, inspection of the water, and that,
Per DEH recommendations.
yeah, yeah, per DH, Department of Health, recommendations, and that a local person would be available to manage the property.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Curry, would you just read the sentence on the water, please? No, I mean, what the recommendation is.
Health Department.
Well water tested annually per Virginia Department of Health recommendation.
Yeah.
That way it's their correct test.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it gets forwarded to the Board of Supervisors. Thank you. Okay, and now I open the public hearing on the substation.
If I could get just a brief introduction.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Curry will update us on the zoning ordinance related to electrical substations.
The narrative in board docs is pretty comprehensive, but in short, historically Rappahannock County regulated substations as part of a overarching use for electrical generating plant facilities. That was in our old codification system, section 3.3-3.0. However, in July of 2021, when the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors modified our local ordinance to add the renewable energy electrical generating facilities, things changed, and the a substation more or less fell out of that overarching definition. Therefore, there is no current definition,
Right.
and there never have been any special requirements for electrical generating plant facilities or substations. So this amendment seeks to remedy that hole that was created in 2021. It creates a definition for electrical substations. It includes several special requirements that are in addition to the general requirements for electrical substations. And this would apply to any new substation or enlargement of an existing substation because they've all been permitted pursuant to special exceptions. So enlargement would require a new special exception. This public hearing's been advertised pursuant to Code of Virginia section 15.2.2204, and it's been available for citizen review in the zoning office.
Now, I was going to open the public hearing. Would anybody like to address the electrical substation ordinance and the regulations? Sarah.
All right. Good evening. Sarah Parmalee, representing the Piedmont Environmental Council. I would like to thank the Planning Commission and county staff for working to enact this small but significant change to the Code of Ordinance, requiring that all new and expanded substations seek a special exception from the county. We believe these proposed changes will ensure greater transparency, impact mitigation, and local control over these facilities. I believe the proposed amendment includes reasonable protections for the community and critical resources without prohibiting substations entirely, which PEC supports. Substations are necessary for all of us to keep the lights on, and we need to be able to permit them when they are necessary to meet local needs. However, we are seeing a massive increase in the number of substations to facilitate the transmission of power to data centers in Northern Virginia and further afield. This type of development is not appropriate for rural Rappahannock County, which does not allow data centers under any of its land use categories and should not be burdened with the infrastructure of an industry from which it does not benefit. Both neighboring Fauquier and Culpeper counties have similar permit or exception requirements for substations, and by adopting these proposed changes, Rappahannock will ensure that it is not the easy option for siting unpopular new substations that are intended to help move power to new data centers rather than support local power distribution. In closing, I would like to emphasize that this change is not a silver bullet that will prevent any future transmission lines in Rappahannock, but is an important speed bump for that type of development. For these reasons, I ask that you forward this amendment to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation for approval. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for all your help on
Can I
this.
ask her a question?
Absolutely.
You said it's similar to Fauquier County's ordinance, which I know they just recently used to deny a request.
Yes.
How similar is it?
Your language is a little bit more comprehensive, in part because you include things like the view shed requirements and accounting for potentially the low frequency noise that these things can put out. The spirit of it is the same in that, anyone looking to put a new substation or expand an existing substation is going to have to come to the Planning Commission and the Board of Supervisors to have that granted, which I think is really the most important thing.
So this would provide the same protection that Fauquier used to deny their permit?
I believe so.
If it came with a similar permit, we could say the same thing.
Yes,
Okay.
that is my understanding. I'm happy if Gary needs to correct me.
Anyone else?
Thank you.
Thank you. David.
Good evening, everybody. I'm David Aldrich from the Hampton District. And I'm here tonight to say that I support the efforts of the Rappahannock County Board of Supervisors and the County Planning Commission to update the county code of ordinances to require a special exception for new and expanded substations. The proposed changes, as Sarah alluded to, would provide our county representatives with more control over the location of new proposed substations, as well as the expansion of existing ones, and ensuring more public input during the review process of proposed utility expansion projects in the county. I believe these updates are important because while local governments have very limited authority over transmission lines and other aspects of utility expansion proposals, they can require use permits for substations. For example, despite First Energy's repeated denials, their proposed Page-Sperryville transmission line rebuild project might end up being the initial step of a larger effort to provide greatly enhanced transmission of power generated west of Rappahannock County to existing and proposed data centers in Culpeper and elsewhere east of Rappahannock County. The infrastructure to implement this enhanced transmission capability could include new, enormous 230 kV and/or 500 kV transmission lines similar to the ones that we have running through Huntley right now. And they could run them through the existing rights-of-way along Route 522 to Culpeper and 211 to Warrenton. If pursued by First Energy or any other utilities, these efforts to render our county a transmission corridor for data center industry will require additional and enhanced substations with the requisite special exception permitting process that you're looking at tonight. The proposed updates to the County Code of Ordinances provide our county representatives an opportunity to have input into determining whether potential utility expansion projects are consistent with our county values as promulgated in our comprehensive plan and are in the best interests of our county residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll be brief. I just want to commend the Planning Commission,
Name,
Board of
please.
Supervisors.
Name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Patty McGill Peterson, Piedmont District. I wanted to commend all of you for taking this on. I think this is a very important issue. And I want to thank our county administrator for caring about this as well. The pressure on us now to bring power over the mountain is increasing exponentially. And there are a lot of folks over in West Virginia and Ohio that would like to send their energy over the mountain. And the transmission line that we have right now is the point of least resistance. So I think we're in stage one with First Energy. There's lots more to come. There's enormous pressure to bring more energy over the mountain into Virginia and to serve the data centers that are just blossoming, as you know, all over the state, but particularly in Northern Virginia, and we are the route in. So thank you very much. I really think it's important to be proactive on this, and I look forward to hopefully seeing the Board of Supervisors approving this. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else?
May I? Thank you. Hi, Barbara Sharp, and I'm with the Wakefield.
Did you have the hand?
Pardon? I do. And I'm not sure if I'm, well, you know what happened? I prepared a speech. I never do this, okay? I'm not a public. And you know what? I lost it from Hunt Lake to here. I have no idea where it is, but could I have one of those so I can talk like I'm a knowledgeable person?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Oh, no. Well, you know, I'm one of those writers of letters to the editor that really want this First Energy thing to be transparent, to be open, and to be beneficial in some respect, and recognize that our county is special. Our county is unlike any other place. And I really don't want huge power lines over the mountains, through the woods, to grandma's house we go. You know, it's not our problem that they're lacking energy. It's their problem. So we don't need to, I would like to say that little counties like us have fought the big giant Goliath. And Nelson County in Virginia, the Atlantic Coast Pipeline. So they stopped a multi-billion-dollar utility project. And that was great. Sandoval County, New Mexico, they refused to have a transmission line. They changed their plans. Madison County, Iowa, same thing. Organized resistance, the utility had to redesign and accept new restrictions. And I think that one also involved impact statements for the environment. Grace Harbor, Washington State, they wanted to put a voltage line where everybody was going to be able to see it. You know, so they opposed it and rerouted it. Okay, so here's my thought. Years ago, Embark wanted to use my right-of-way to put power lines and whatever kind of buildings that their telephone company was going to build. And we had no right to do anything about it, except I became a thorn in their side. And it worked. It was a very difficult job, but I believe, well, I did succeed. They had to put the lines underground. And so if I can do it as one person, what can we do as a county to make sure that this project doesn't just steamroll us? It just really, it bothers me that big energy just wants to, and they don't give a, you know what, about what we think, because they want their data centers, they want to feed the giant with that electricity. So I hope somebody, we not just kowtow to them and we can save our county. I mean, come on. We're just not everybody's county. So
And I apologize for being so, kind of speechless or speech form, but thank you for the opportunity. I'll probably never, ever do this again. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if anybody's interested in this handout, I have one. I have too many, actually. Thank you again.
Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Comments?
I'd like to piggyback on what Mr. Aldridge said. My mother has a facility, or has a house there in Sperryville, it's signed over to me. Anyway, she told me some guy came out there, well, as we know, a month ago, the big thing was about the transmission lines. Now I find out they have evicted, apparently, Rappahannock Electric off those lines. So Rappahannock Electric now is asking for an easement to put things underground. So if Rappahannock Electric is not on that line, who is, or who's going to be? I know it's a kind of a rent option, the highest bidder or whatever, but I worked for the government for 34 years, and when they do this, when the right hand is waving, you better watch what that left hand is doing.
Do you know, Gary?
I'll share this with you.
My conjecture would be that during the, as I think PEC said, rip and rebuild, or I'm not sure what you called it, but during that process, it probably would be not really possible to host the low voltage distribution lines for the local homes, and so they want REC out of there, so they're not encumbered by those lines while they're upgrading the big one, but that's just a guess.
And I'm just talking to a few other people, it's my understanding that the REC folks who have went around requesting easements to build this stuff underground have only gone so far as the substation. They haven't gone any further than that. So.
Now, I will add that this ordinance won't affect that at all.
Yeah.
But it's all kind of tangentially tied in there.
While we're on this, I did notice seems like there's some new construction activity around that substation. Does anyone know what that's about?
It looks like they're clearing all around it to put something temporary or something. I'm speculating that.
I haven't seen it, but we did ask them to reestablish their vegetative buffer, so it's possible that they are doing that, because that was a requirement of an earlier special exception, and the trees, I think, have gotten to their useful life, and for some reason, the expansion on one didn't get any, so I will check with my contact.
John?
Yeah, I just had a couple questions. I mean, I like that we're asking for, or going to require a special exception. I think this is smart. I don't think any of us want kind of what was outlined here, that Rappahannock's the corridor, the transmission corridor, and kind of a passive corridor. None of us want that. I guess the two questions I have is whether this is too restrictive. And I don't know the answer to that. I wasn't here last year when we discussed this. I mean, we should acknowledge that we're sitting in a light room when it's dark outside and it's warm in here, and we're all have our devices. The last thing we want is to restrict energy to our residents. We don't want to be the transmission corridor, but we want reliable energy. And so I think that's an important point we need to acknowledge. The other question with being too restrictive is, and I think we probably need to ask Art Goff this, but if the language about view sheds, there's virtually nowhere in Rappahannock County that isn't seen from somewhere else. And if the code basically says you can't build a substation anywhere, does that make it so that this could be challenged to say, look, we have to be able to build substations? You can't say we can't do it. You can restrict it in certain ways. And so I just want to make sure we're not so restrictive that it gets challenged. And I think that's not a question I can answer. I think that's a question for Art.
Mr. Goff and I did discuss these sort of things, and the wording is specifically set up that the board shall take into account, shall consider, in making a decision, this is the breadcrumbs on the sort of things that should be important. It doesn't say that they can't go where it's a sensitive view shed. It just says that's important, which gives the board leverage during that legislative process with an applicant to work out appropriate conditions for buffering or whatever. So it is a give and take, but we've tried to make it as flexible as possible so the board can have that process with a utility and work out the right conditions to make it appropriate for a specific location. Now, I doubt in our lifetime we'll have a third substation in the county. More likely, there might need to be an expansion of one of the existing ones. And the one kind of carve-out that was added by the Planning Commission most recently was that setback requirement didn't apply to existing, because neither of them would meet.
It would make it.
Okay, thank you. I mean, that was my biggest concern in reading this, is whether we're making it so constrained that it could be challenged. So it's good to hear that we've kind of considered that. The last question I had, and again, sorry, I'm coming into this late, with the low frequency noise limit, we don't really have any teeth there once we've approved the special exception, do we? I mean, if we approved it and then somebody complained and we went and measured it, number one, who measures it? But number two, we can't revoke can we revoke a permit?
There is a process to revoke a special exception, and failure to meet these requirements would allow that. It is a public hearing process, and so there would have to be data presented, and it goes through a public hearing. That revocation could be appealed to the BZA, which could be appealed to the circuit court, so ultimately it would be adjudicated down the line and support a local decision to revoke or not. More than likely, a utility wouldn't want to go through that and would try to remedy the issue with buffering or something on site to reduce that noise.
Okay, so having that there does create recourse for us okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, the lights are on, the screens are up, we've got cell phones in here. Everybody's used data storage from the data centers. But yet, we don't want to be a part of it. We are a part of it. It's electricity, usage is growing, and what you're seeing now is that data centers are facing a pushback on electric usage, rates going up. And it seems like they're moving towards solutions of their own, where they're going into the power business. They're putting in
That's right.
they're on turbines, talking about packaged nuclear plants. About a month ago, I read that the former Avtech Center over there in Front Royal, 100 acres being purchased there by a company out of the area, and they're going to build a data center. I'm wondering if the residents in Chester Gap will now pretty much constantly see that short-term facility, the turbines over there at the inland port. I think Rappahannock Electric's part owner in it. I mean, it might be a touchstone project. But anyway, I'm just curious if that won't probably start running maybe year-round. And then you got the CO2 pollution coming out there. So, it seems like same thing. One of the same things that we're talking about here, about we're not part of it, is the same thing we're dealing with our courthouse. With our courthouse, we're in a judicial district that includes Fauquier and Loudoun County. And when you look at Loudoun County being the richest county in the United States, and here we are part of that judicial system, and our judges want to apply the same standards that they enjoy in Loudoun to what should be us out here. The two don't go together. So, it's kind of the same thing here. We're not the big demand user for electricity, but, I think what we're working on goes to temper the impact on Rappahannock, but, we may well see other impacts. I know the power plant in Warren County, and that was initially proposed for Remington and Fauquier County, and they didn't want it for the pollution aspect, but you went to Warren County, and I'm wondering if still Fauquier County is getting the air pollution that it would have generated anyway, just not getting any tax dollars. So it's all a complicated, situation, and, we just gotta, monitor what we're doing and realize that we're part of the solution and part of the problem too, so. And the electrical substations, I said last time, and, we've had electricity for 125 years, I guess, plus or minus. And we got 2 substations in Rappahannock County, and they cover probably less than 2 acres. And I probably, unless you live in Sperryville, maybe Flint Hill, you probably, if you was ask somebody how many substations we have and where they're located, they may not be able to do it. I asked my wife tonight before I left, and she gave me one. She gave me Sperryville, but she didn't give me Eileen.
Yeah, that's the obvious
So,
one.
we're doing the best we can. I think we've done a good job here. So I think probably just need to push this on to the board for their recommendation.
Right. Do you want to make that a motion?
If everybody's finished, I'll make that motion.
That was very nice, Mr. Henry.
Yeah.
I got a question about, I guess in the noise section, it refers to property lines of any adjacent residential district. Are residential districts R5, R2?
Residential districts are identified, and I think it's 170-35, and it's all of the Rs, RR, RV,
That's what.
RV.
Mobile home.
Yes, MHP.
I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance that we formulated it and send it to the board for their review, public hearing, and approval.
I'll second that.
that.
All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Okay. Do you have, we can open for just general public comment, if anybody wants to make a general public comment.
I don't have any real formal remarks. I just sort of jotted some stuff down, but it's, has to do with First Energy and the way that they are handling this possible transmission line. They call it an upgrade. I don't know what to call it. I've attended a number of public meetings. I've attended, I don't know what they called it, a town hall, their First Energy show. From the inception, I am just struck by the reluctance of First Energy to be forthcoming and transparent. They did not want to hold a public information meeting. They danced around it. The Board of Supervisors, every member on the board had to hold their feet to the fire multiple times to finally get a, well, I'll look into it. And when I went there, it was not really, I don't know if it was intentional or just turned out that way. It was not well planned. It was difficult to get information. I had, you know me, I had a whole lot of questions. And I was like going back and forth trying to get someone to answer. One of the interesting things that I learned is part of the reason that they planned one for Page and didn't bother with us initially is that all of the right-of-way acquisition that they need is in Page County. So I'm guessing they imagined it was a little more to their best interest to focus some PR over there. I requested in writing at that hearing a number of things. I've misplaced my notes on that, but there are environmental assessments, park and historic feature assessments, impacts that are required by the State Corporation Commission. So I know they have to do them, and they have to do them in advance of their submission to the SCC, which I believe they're planning on doing any time now. They're supposed to let the board know. I don't know if they have. I have heard zero, like radio silence, no response, nothing. I have seen no evidence of a clear justification of need. I've seen nothing that really clarifies in any real way the impacts that are going to occur. There's been no clear information, because a lot of people are asking about how much the pole height might increase. Everything has been vague, opaque, and quite frankly, the way First Energy has responded to community concerns and requests, as in they really haven't, it's really rather insulting, like they think they can just roll over us. I echo the comments of a previous speaker that Rappahannock is unique, and unlike anywhere else, we are becoming rare all the time. We need to do everything we can to protect what we have here. To hear Mr. Sisk say that our local electric co-op, who provides local power needs, is being evicted, this is egregious. Does our board know this? We need to do something as a county. This is not okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I would assume that they have to make those documents, their filing documents public.
They will be public whenever that happens.
Anyone else? Right.
Warren Wellstead, Flint Hill. I appreciate your comments with respect to reliability. View shed, aesthetics, that doesn't feed the bulldog when I'm in Flint Hill and I look at that trunk line that goes up to Chester Gap. And as they say, take one for the team that's right in my front yard. I feel like they need that. You don't have a lot of options. There's monopoly. With respect to the line, once that is rebuilt, and I'm a mechanic, this is not an upgrade, this is not another spot, another route. Things break, weather, everything else. And maybe if this is pursued and built, when we're all gone, maybe they'll talk about this in another 80 years, and not 40, like this line is biting the dust. So with respect to that, I appreciate your thoughts on that. The only other question is, once this is rebuilt, not upgraded, capacity not increased, will these substations fit in with this new rebuild? And will they need, will they say, this is not going to work with this, and we're going to need something, or we're going to need more? And that's going to benefit everybody, because like Mr. Henry said, the lights are on, it's warm, unless you heat with gas. You need electricity. I think we're in a good neighborhood. And look at Warrenton. They're probably going to get taken to the hoop with the data center that they have pulled back on. You can't say you're going to do this and we're going to let you do it, and then a year or two later, we change their mind. I think they're going to get gored, but that's just me. We need reliability, and we need to be able to turn the lights on and trust it. So, thanks.
For the value of the planning commission, I did ask First Energy in writing whether the substation in Sperryville needed to increase in size. They responded to me in writing that it would not need to increase in size, and all of their changes would be internal to the current fence line. We still need to make sure we review the filing, because that's the real deal.
Yeah,
Wasn't that expanded once already?
At least once.
yeah.
So that's pretty much for storage?
I think originally it was, but then they filled in with more electrical stuff. But we'd have to go back and review the old special exceptions.
But does anybody ever said that what we have is inadequate?
For the substation? No, I don't think so. I understand that the Eileen substation is taking 34 kilovolts and dropping it down to 12 to then distribute around that area. Whereas Sperryville has to do that and bring 138 kilovolts down to 34 and 12. So the lines that leave there are 34 on top and 12 on the next row down. But the big line coming in is on 38, so they've got to drop that down through that substation, which is why it's so much bigger than Aileen.
Okay.
Any other speakers?
Any other speakers? Yeah. Public comment? Okay, I'm going to close public comment. Any old business? I was kind of curious whatever happened about the rewrite of the ordinance.
It's been set aside by the Board of Supervisors. The staff has committed to review the subdivision ordinance to make sure when we brought the state required changes to the Planning Commission and Board several months ago, at that time, we said it'd probably be a good time to look at the rest that's still on our plate to do. The other thing that is pending is staff owes the Planning Commission narrative updates for the comprehensive.
Yeah, right.
And the Regional Commission has offered to help us with the data uplift and the graph.
Oh, great.
Uplift. They had some staff turnover, so we're trying to get that sorted out.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thoughts? Any new business? Okay. Roundtable discussion? How about a motion to adjourn?
Chair, can I actually bring something up that we discussed in the Board of Supervisors meeting in beginning of February? You know, we're all trying to, we see the courthouse coming. We see the budget process we're getting ready to go through. And I think one of the questions that we've been asking is how we generate revenue from tourism. You know, we have some, you know, businesses that generate that tax revenue from tourism. Clearly, the short-term rentals, tourist homes, I think, even though they're competition for you know, long-term rentals, generate some revenue for tourism. But I think that's one of the questions that the Board of Supervisors has been discussing is how we do that. And the idea was,
Does the inn want to have another inn in the county? That could generate some revenue for us.
that could. I'll take that.
Suggest that.
I'll take that back and see what happens with the discussion. You know, I don't know. I mean, it's, you know, we're almost entirely, our revenue is based almost entirely on real estate taxes, and how do we diversify that? We've talked about splitting meals from lodging. If we increase the lodging tax, you know, that would be really a tourism tax, whereas the meals are probably a lot of residents. Most of us don't stay in the county in a short-term type of situation. So I don't know if there are other ideas from the Planning Commission on how to do that, but this is something we're thinking about.
Yeah.
I think the Board of Supervisors needs to do a comprehensive review of everything in the county. I think everything, I think from permitting fees, recording fees, I think the land use, I see violations in land use where properties are in land use and they're not doing an agriculture activity, particularly speaking of open land. I think the county needs to do an audit of all the things in Rappahannock and have some very competent, qualified people with financial and accounting backgrounds just to look at everything and to consider everything. Otherwise, all you can do is keep on adding 2 or 3 cents every year to the tax rate. Mm-hmm. You know, that's the only
Professional licenses is another one that, you know, a lot of counties have.
People. Just on top of that, Ms. Graham, the Commissioner of Revenue, will be at the March Board of Supervisors meeting to to share with them the restrictions and opportunities with land use taxation program and what sort of enforcement mechanisms she uses. So we have also discussed recently, Ms. Graham and I, the fees required for revalidation and application for the land use program. And those probably need to be analyzed, have not been changed in a long time. The property owners who take value from that program get a huge real estate tax reduction, which serves our land use needs relative to development. But at the same time, perhaps the application revalidation fee could be a little bit higher. At a minimum, that might be able to fund our 6-year reassessment cost for a contractor to do that. The last time we did it was about half the amount needed to cover that cost. So if we doubled the fee, it would almost cover the full cost of reassessment, which is over $200,000.
You know,
Triple the fee and do it every other year.
Well, and so these are
It's really
legislative
expensive, yeah.
decisions for the board, and the revalidation fee can't be more than the application fee, but both of those are subject to legislative discretion of the board. So the board, I think we'll have that discussion at the next meeting, preliminarily at least, when Ms. Graham is with them.
so before we had the great financial crisis in the late 2007, 8, whenever it was there, you know, we were up to building 50-plus houses a year in the county. And in the 2010s, it fell down to, I think, it's less than half that. I haven't watched what the most recent numbers are, but being in the real estate business and doing appraisals, I appraise a lot of construction projects in the county. And it's absolutely incredible what some new homes are being built for. I mean, it's pretty much now a new house, it is $1 million. And, you know, it used to be, back in the teens, back, 20 years ago, $100 a square foot was a house, and then it became $150, then $200. And right now, if you look at a vinyl-sided house, and particularly like in, say, in Fauquier County, that national builder is doing, just the vinyl part of the living space is about $200 a foot. There's a couple houses in Rappahannock right now that are $1,000 a foot. So, if you're building a $1,000 square foot house, if you pay, and it's a 4,000 square foot house, you're paying $4 million, what is another $5,000 fee on that house? It's nothing. Is it $10,000 fee? And whatever you want to name that fee as a technology fee, environmental impact, whatever fee you want to call it, But, I mean, if you want to tax the sources of wealth and the people who have the money to pay, certainly in the construction part of it is an opportunity there. Mm-hmm. And here's another thing too. Here's going to be a bonus. You can mark down that Al Henry said this. Okay, all right. So historically, the businesses in Rappahannock, when the assessments were done, you really couldn't pin any good values on them because there was no sales. You just basically appraised it as sticks and stones based upon the square footage. Well, this next assessment, you're going to have a lot of commercial properties that have sold in the county for real money. So I think you're going to see a big jump in your commercial values. If you think about the properties that have sold, you've had a couple in Flint Hill, pretty much the whole corner up around in Sperryville has had sales there. Pete Estes' old house, the Emporium, the brewery. I mean, you've had a lot of sales, and all of a sudden, you're going to have properties that previously were $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 that are going to be $1 million to $2 million. So there's going to be a bonus coming there. Mm-hmm. So see if I'm right when that comes out. Okay.
But that's probably true for the real estate too. I mean, what they're being assessed at and what they're actually selling for is especially on the larger estates, there's a huge.
But that's true too. But where do you want to put the tax burden? You want to put the tax burden on increase the tax burden on a house, or you want to put it on commercial?
I don't know, because we need commercial businesses.
Well, I can assure you the Code of Virginia requires, and we will assess all types of structures at 100% of market value.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, good point. We should be thinking about this, about how to make this a sustainable county.
Everybody's going to have to give up something.
Well, the one thing most people, and bringing it back to the Planning Commission, that most people do not want to give up is the scenic view shed, which is the core, the essence of the community. And so people are generally aligned around that, which means something else gives, which might be your wallet, practically speaking, and that's the cost to live in the community that your forefathers have set out and that you're stewarding along.
Well, I appreciate the thoughts.
Well, good, great.
Thanks,
I'm glad you
Al.
brought it up though, because we really do need to be thinking about this.
And I'm glad, Mary will be at the next planning commission meeting. I know.
Next board meeting,
Or
sorry.
next board meeting, yeah. Yep. I've been on the other end of enforcement from her.
Yeah.
And I will say there's not a lack of enforcement. I've got to talk to the people that know how to work this system because I have never been able to do that.
Yeah.
It's always been well enforced in my experience.
It seems like if you got, 25, 50, 100 acres, you can slip through pretty easy. Maybe not with 7,000.
Does Rappahannock have different rates for open space and land use?
So, open space,
Yeah,
agriculture,
the same
and forestry, Ms. Graham can speak to all that. I don't recall.
Yeah, they're different.
It's a value base, and she, I think, starts with the SLEAC values and then goes from there based on her analysis. But that is a very good question, how ours compared to other communities and why she is selected.
Here, they're greasing, I'm pretty sure that they're taking open space and putting it just a notch higher.
We don't,
Land use.
we don't implement open
Because they
space.
are taking
We do
from
it from
agricultural land.
Yeah, but you mean
Okay.
conservation, that they're increasing,
Farmer Pete, he's got nowhere to put his cows in Faulkner County anymore. Why do I need it? I got land use just because I put it in a conservation easement.
yeah, no, that's the issue. It's not open space, it's the issue of they're increasing the taxes on conservation land. But I don't know if you can do that. I mean, you must be able to, but I always thought they were linked with
It has a true
that.
assessed value, and it must be whatever that true assessed value is of the conservation value.
Yeah.
So somehow that's been adjusted.
State gives you those numbers.
I don't know.
But that is something else to look at. Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second it.
Who's going to,
all in favor?
is our
Thank you.
previous group out of business that's, I forget the guy's name now.